Hi, Seals. Welcome back. So we're on chapter 12. We just found out that Grandma might understand what Tilly's talking about by the characters becoming real. This is called an active imagination. The next morning brought a sheepish-looking Oscar and Pages & Co., carrying the book Tilly had helped him pick out. Hey, he opened with. Hi, Tilly said shortly. Can I come and hang out here for a bit? I guess. It's really busy at Crumbs because of half term, and Mum says I can't take up table space. Tilly nodded and went back to her book. Oscar shuffled his feet awkwardly. Where should I sit? Tilly was in an armchair and there was nowhere else free apart from the floor. She made a big performance of standing up and gathering together her bits and pieces. We can go to the third floor, I guess. It's always quiet there. Plus, no kids come up to the beanbags stay nice and clean. I brought them up from the children's floor to protect them. They went upstairs and settled themselves into the colourful beanbags nestled behind the philosophy shelves. I'm sorry about yesterday, Oscar blurted out. I didn't mean to sound like I was laughing at you, or that I thought you were silly. I know the characters I'm seeing are fictional, Tilly conceded, glad that he raised the subject again. But that doesn't mean they're not real. I don't know what's happening, but I promise I'm not making it up. I know, Oscar said. I'm not sure I know what's going on either, but I believe you. Who did you say you'd seen? Your favourite characters, right? Yes, Tilly said, relief washing over her. I saw Alice from Wonderland and Anne Shirley from Anne of Green Gables. Anne was just like I'd hoped, although Alice is kind of blunt. I sort of wish I was seeing fictional characters, Oscar said, scratching his forehead. There are plenty of everyday people I like fine, but I'm not sure I'd count on them as friends, if it came down to it. Apart from me, Tilly said quietly after a beat. Apart from you, Oscar agreed with a smile that reached all the way to his eyes. They were interrupted by the sound of Grandma and Grandad coming upstairs and sitting down on the other side of the bookcase, where Oscar and Tilly were hidden from view. We need to talk about Tilly, they heard Grandma say. Oscar and Tilly exchanged a look. Oscar gestured to see if they should move, but Tilly shook her head fiercely and put her fingers to her lips. Oscar looked uncomfortable but stayed put. You know what I'm talking about, Archie, Grandma said when Grandad didn't reply. Yesterday she asked me if I sometimes felt like I was really inside a book when I read. Do you think it's happened? She's always had an active imagination, Elsie. Could it just be that? Grandad said. You know it's more than that, Archie, and she found these books of bees. That could have been the trigger. You know, there's often one along those lines. She hasn't asked about him, has she? No, not yet. But Archie, far more concerning at the moment is the fact that she seems to be able to see Holmes and Lizzie. You know that shouldn't be possible. I know, Grandad said quietly. There's something else. I should have told you straight away, but I hoped it was nothing. It's about chalk. Oscar and Tilly heard. Grandma take a sharp breath. He was here, Elsie. He came to the shop. He was asking about disturbances at the library, and he met Tilly. Tilly? Does he know who she is and what disturbances? What did you say? Grandma asked. I told him I had no clue what he was talking about, of course, and yes, he knew she was my granddaughter. I had hoped he would never have found out about Tilly, he said, sighing. What do we do? Grandma asked quietly. I don't know. Wait and see what happens, I suppose. Keep a close eye on Tilly. What else can we do? Is it worth speaking to Amelia, do you think? Not yet, Grandad said. It could all still blow over. I hope you're right, Archie, Grandma said, and they heard her stand up. At that, Oscar and Tilly scrunched down into their beanbags, trying not to be seen, and they heard Grandad upstairs to his desk and Grandma going back downstairs to the till. Oscar looked at Tilly. She felt a little bit sick. Do you know what's going on? Do you know what they're talking about, Tilly? He whispered. She shook her head. But there's definitely something weird going on. Oscar shrugged helplessly at her. Speaking of which, things sort of escalated yesterday, she went on. To start with, it was characters coming out of their books into Pages & Co. and talking to me, Tilly explained. To start with? Oscar said nervously. Yes, because yesterday Alice took me to the Mad Hatter's tea party, Tilly said. To the Mad Hatter's tea party? Oscar repeated slowly. To actual Wonderland, Tilly said, in case he didn't understand. And how exactly did you get there? Oscar asked. Well, we were here, and then I held Alice's hand, and everything sort of fell down around us, and behind everything normal was Wonderland, she explained. The silence that followed was eventually interrupted by a sad sniffle, and Tilly looked up to see Anne leaning against the bookshelf about to burst into tears. I can't believe she did that, Anne said mournfully. You can't believe who did what? Tilly said. Who did what? Oscar repeated in confusion. Alice, Anne said. Not you, Anne. Not you, Anne, Tilly said at the same time. What? Oscar said. Oh, he can't see or hear me, Anne said in an offhand manner, as if that was the least pressing thing to deal with. Oh no, Tilly said. She turned to Oscar, who still looked utterly bemused. So, Anne is here, she said, not sure how to prove to him what was going on. Anne? Anne of Green Gables from the book, like I said. Tilly, there's no one here but us, Oscar said. Anne, why can't he see you? Can you do something about it? Tilly said desperately. Can you, knock something over or something? I'm not some kind of performing monkey, Matilda, Anne said. He can't see me because I'm yours. The only way he could see me would be if you both... Oh, but I shouldn't. Anne looked over at Oscar thoughtfully. Actually, I don't see why not, considering the circumstances. What are you? Tilly started, but in one swift movement, Anne leaned down and took both Oscar and Tilly by the shoulder, and the burnt marshmallow smell filled the air as the walls of the shop seemed to topple around them, leaving them standing in the startlingly beautiful wood with late afternoon sun dripping through the leaves above them. A bit like what happened with Alice in Wonderland. The page is all a bit funny. Anne breathed in the fresh air in delight. Oscar fell to his knees and was sick in the bushes. First time, Anne said kindly, giving him a pat on the back. It can make your stomach feel a bit funny, but it's lovely to meet you properly. I'm Anne, with an E, she said, sticking her hand out. Oscar shook it feebly, still looking rather worse for wear. Where are we? We're in Avonlea, of course, Anne said. Come on, we're going to be late for school. We've travelled magically inside a book, and now we're going to school, Oscar said to Tilly, looking horrified, but they didn't have time to argue, as Anne had already set off briskly through the trees, and they were left with no choice but to follow her. Wow, that was good. Thank goodness that Anne of Green Gables took Oscar with her as well, otherwise Oscar will think that Tilly was crazy. I wonder what's going to happen next. Hope you're keeping safe and well. Miss you lot. Speak to you soon.